That had to be the worst Monday Night Raw of the decade. This was the final show for WWE before 2020, before the new decade. 2019 ends in utterly disappointment. We had a wedding. We had a wedding being crashed by multiple people. Liv Morgan makes a return in disappointing fashion. And quite honestly, everything that happened before this doesn't seem to matter because they gave you 20 plus minutes of a wedding. The rest of the show doesn't matter. Just a 20-minute wedding where you had everything just be an absolute disaster. And Vince McMahon, there's no way Vince McMahon can go under this thing, write this down, be done with this stuff, be like, boom, here we go. We have ourselves a good show. He cannot think that, not after what we saw last night, I should say. But we'll get to that wedding here in a minute. We go to the ring and out comes Kevin Owens. He says we're going to cut right to business, wants to know why. He shows us why. Shows us a replay from last week's Christmas episode where Rollins and the Authors of Pain took out Owens, Rey Mysterio, and Samoa Joe later on. Owens goes on about Rollins and AOP beating him up for weeks now, as he'll keep calling him out and getting beat up, but sooner or later he's taking one of these idiots down with him. Owens has a problem with their actions. It has an action have an effect on guys in the back he looked up to, and the first thing that comes to mind is Rey Mysterio and talks about how it made him sick to watch them do what they did last week. Blames the attack on Rey and losing the United States, and Rey losing the United States title a few days later at Madison Square Garden. The show finished at the title change on Thursday during the non-televised event. At least they showed you the title change. I will have to give him that. I've had enough, he said. Out come the Rollins and the AOP. Owens can't wait to fight. Rollins takes the mic and says Owens is still failing to see the big picture. This isn't something he chooses. This is something that was forced upon him by people like Owens who think they know best. Rollins says this is his sacrifice for the greater good. Be a leader, a messiah. Really? Had to say that, didn't he? Take the industry into the next decade. Fans boo. Rollins says Owens left him no choice but to impose his will. If you resist, AOP will enforce my will. Owens exits ring and charges, but AOP then beat him up and roll him back into the ring. AOP double teams Owens in the middle of the ring, and out comes Samoa Joe. AOP try to stop Samoa Joe, but he takes them both down. Joe hits the ring and brawls with Rollins. Joe unloads and applies the Kikina clutch for a pop. AOP makes a save, but here comes Owens with a steel chair to the ring. Rollins stops Owens, but Owens fights him off in the corner. Security fills up the ring now as the superstars are held back. Joe breaks free and attacks Rollins again. Rollins retreats to the floor as a let them fight chant starts up. Security has AOP and Rollins held back at ringside. Goes to the top and nails a huge. Owens goes to the top and nails a huge senton from the top of the floor. AOP on AOP, Rollins and Security. The chaos at ringside as Joe joins in again, and we go to commercial breaks with bodies everywhere. So obviously, Rey Mysterio is probably going to get involved with this too because he was beat up last week. He lost the United States Championship a few nights later to Andrade at Madison Square Garden because of, in storyline because of this attack. So, who's ready for a 6-man tag match? Samoa Joe and Kevin Owens and Rey Mysterio versus AOP and Seth Rollins, because that's where this is going. That is definitely where this is going. Back from break and we see what just happened. Joe and Owens are backstage talking about how they will keep bringing the fight. Caleb Braxton appears and informs them that the security is on the way. She asks Joe why he got involved. Joe says he doesn't have a choice he didn't have a choice but to get involved. Rollins forced him to get involved. He goes and says Rollins made it to where Owens will never stand alone again. Owens says he knows Joe for a long time and knows a lot of bad people, but no one as bad as Joe, and he means that in the nicest way. He didn't imagine that anyone would be by his side for this fight, but he's got it's Joe. Owens assumes security is coming to remove them from the building. Security shows up and surrounds them. Joe and Owens talk about fighting again next week, and an issue of wanting to security guards. They leave without being touched by security. Again, this is going to lead to probably Rey Mysterio joining in next week, so we will have that happening next week. So, woohoo! More BS that nobody's gonna really give a shit about. This show just... I still don't get the why be the why. Why would he? Why does like Rollins turn heel? The why seems to still be that because the fans didn't like him. So what? The fans didn't like Roman Reigns for about 4 years. Did you see him turning heel? I need a better reason. So the Samoa Joe is in this now. Rey Mysterio is going to be added to it next. So we're gonna have ourselves a 6-man feud. LP and Seth Rollins, which they need to get. If they're going to be a unit, you need to give them a name. I just hate when you have a unit that sticks together or join together don't have a name. Aleister Black versus Buddy Murphy. This is a rematch from TLC. Not much special here. I mean, they did go out there and give you a hell of a match, but in the end, Black Mass for the 1, 2, 3. Aleister Black beats Buddy Murphy. Buddy Murphy did tweet out, I believe, last night, no need for a third match or a trilogy. 02, Better Man won. So it looks like Buddy Murphy is saying this feud for me is done. Is that the case? Who knows? I know I remember reading, I believe, this past week or last week that Dave Meltzer or somebody was reporting that WWE is planning to make this a long-term feud between Aleister Black and Buddy Murphy. If that is the case, why would you have Buddy Murphy lose to Aleister Black 2 in a row? If you wanted this to be a long-standing feud, probably going into the Royal Rumble, have Aleister Black lose this match, but they didn't. They had him win the match. Seth Rollins is backstage with Akam and Rizzo arguing in another language. Rollins wants to know what's going on, and Akam and Rizzo have each side covered. They no one will kick them tonight. Rollins last says management has just asked them to leave. No one is kicking them out. Says WWE is trying to close the year out without the Messiah, but the show will be canceled before the next match. That won't last. Security shows up, but Rollins says they aren't leaving voluntarily. Tells AOP to clear the way, and he follows as they leave without incident. So they left voluntarily, even though he says we aren't leaving voluntarily. Okay. Eric Rowan is backstage with confronts Lana, who cares. Don't care. Don't really care. Eric Rowan versus Kip Stevens. Apparently this is a Creative Pro guy. As we know, big huge beat down slam. Don't really give a shit. Iron Claw 1, 2, 3. Eric Rowan wins. I know why they're doing squash matches, because for so long 50-50 booking has been the way to go that honestly, we don't care about anybody who comes on us on TV, because 1, finishers are kicked out way too much. 2, people are losing or win lose 50-50 all the time, so we don't care about them that way either. So this is Paul Heyman's way of getting people to be looking more legit, like more better off by coming out the better of it. So you have a guy like an Eric Rowan who goes out there and his Iron Claw is devastating because he beats everybody. You have the Viking Raiders go out there, Thor's hammer beats everybody. So when that one person kicks out, it means something. Honestly, this is something they should have been doing for a long time, because quite honestly, I hate 50-50 booking. I do not want to see somebody sitting there wrestling a match and like wrestling matches and winning one week and then losing the next week. It just makes no goddamn sense. So if they want to go this route, that is fine by me. Lana's in a room somewhere getting ready for a wedding. She's talking to herself about how everyone loves and obsesses over her, which is honestly not the truth. If Lana disappeared, like before Lana came back to do this whole Bobby Lashley and Rusev storyline, did anybody obsess over her then? Did anybody really ask, where is Lana? No. Did anybody care where Lana was? No. So I don't know where, and it's just a delusional heel is what they're making her. She's delusional as ever. Then we go to Charlotte Flair versus Natalya. Why was this match happening? For the hell of it. But Charlotte Flair, I almost said Ric Flair. Charlotte Flair announces that she will be the first entrant in the Women's Royal Rumble. Remember the days when you had to win matches to enter the Royal Rumble? Miss those days. I mean, yeah. You never used to declare it had to be like, the following contest is a Royal Rumble qualifier. We don't get those anymore, and I think it's a shame. I honestly think it's a shame. Good match here between these two. Charlotte Flair ends up winning with a she transitions into figure eight. Natalya looks the rope, but finally taps out. And that is that. After the match, Flair stands tall, and the ref checks on Natalya, who is clutching her knee. Nice sell for her. Charlotte Caruso is backstage with Raw Women's Champion Becky Lynch, who gets a pop in the arena. Caruso brings up how Asuka agreed to her challenge last week, but no date was set. Becky confirms that Asuka will get the match at the Royal Rumble 2020. So 1 year later, we have Asuka and Becky Lynch for a women's championship, just the other branch championship, as last year was for the SmackDown Women's Championship. Bruce asked her she got it done. Becky says her WWE contract is coming up, and she wouldn't even discuss any contract until she got the match. Which I don't think that's actually true. I think that's just storyline. I'm pretty sure she signed through 2021, I believe. She could have shut her mouth and got on the biggest contracts ever, but money and status aren't important. If this is on top of the world, she doesn't want it. I'm a woman became the face of the business, but now I need to know what it's worth. Lynch doesn't know if she can beat Asuka, but she's going to wipe her record if it kills her, and she walks off. So, again, 1 year later, after she tapped out and won the Royal Rumble later that night, she is going to be defending now the Raw Women's Championship against Asuka. She will be getting her win back because Becky Lynch is keeping this title for almost an entire year, going into WrestleMania, and probably losing it then to Shayna Baszler. Back from break, and we see a new Liv Morgan teaser for her makeover. In return, Liv says someone made her feel different, and then they took it away. The old Liv would have done something impulsive, but the new Liv is way more methodical. She strikes when she's ready, and she thinks she's ready. Are you to be continued? The promo says. Yay! And what they did to Liv Morgan later in the show, just absolutely disappointing. Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson of the OC versus the Street Profits. Who cares? Honestly, the Street Profits were loved in NXT. OC were loved in Japan. Bring these two to Monday Night Raw, do nothing with them for months, and nobody cares. Street Profits won with a frog splash from Montez Ford. I just don't care that bad. By the way, Jerry Lawler and Vic Joseph really, as a two-man group, are absolutely atrocious. You know what's kind of funny though? We had between Survivor Series and TLC, we didn't get a match called for TLC until I believe the Monday before TLC. We are over a month. We're a little under a month until we get to the Royal Rumble, and we already have other than the Royal Rumble matches, which are always there. We already have a match for these faster for this. Maybe they realize trying to book on the fly with book like they did last time was not a good idea. Back from breaking the Street Profits are backstage celebrating. They do not really bad comedy and back and forth. Then plug the Lana, Bobby Lashley wedding. They make it known that they want the smoke with the Raw Tag Team Champions, the Viking Raiders. Then they walk off. Still with the comedy bits with the Street Profits. Who cares? 2-on-1 Handicap match. Zack Ryder and Kurt Hawkins versus Drew McIntyre. Well, this ends well for Drew. He beats the hell out of him, nails a future shock DDT in the middle of the ring on Ryder, stacks Ryder on top of Hawkins and covers both of them for the win, playing one to the other guy. Who really cares? I hope they build this guy up and give this guy a chance. Honestly, in my opinion, if I have somebody beating Brock Lesnar, it's Drew McIntyre at WrestleMania in the middle of the ring. This guy deserves a shot at the WWE Championship. This guy is a killer. This guy was brought into NXT 2 years ago, looked like a stud, and now he's just nothing but trash. He's been misused, miscast, underused. They don't seem to care, and it just sucks to be Drew McIntyre. I really hope 2020 is his year, and I'm hoping at the end of 2020 he's ending 2020 into 2021 as the WWE Champion. That's just me. Apparently, Randy Orton will address his knee from Sunday's live event in her CPA and his future in WWE. announced that next week's Raw from Oklahoma City, the first Raw 2020, will return of Brock Lesnar, Rey Mysterio's rematch against Andrade, a triple threat match for the Raw Tag Team titles, the Viking Raiders defending against the Street Profits and the OC. Why did the OC get a tag team title match when they just lost to the Street Profits on last night? Can somebody tell me that? We go to the ring and out comes Randy Orton using the crutch. His WWE crew member helps him get onto the apron. Vic mentions how Orton was injured on Sunday's live event in Hershey, PA. Crew member helps him into the ring. He gets to his feet. Fans chant Orton's name, and he takes the mic. He talks about injuries happening in this business, and it kills him that he needs help to get into the ring tonight in front of the fans. Orton pauses as the fans chant his name some more, and he mentions seeing champions relinquish their titles due to injuries. But one man he does respect is Hall of Famer Edge, who relinquished his entire career due to an injury. He says no one wants to see that happen. He says, rambling now. Which, it's kind of funny, he just out of the blue and mentions Edge. What does Edge have to do with anything here? Yes, there's rumors that Edge might be coming back to wrestle here and there. But what does Edge have to do with this? It's just kind of random that it's like, yeah, that happened 8 years ago. 8.5 years ago that Edge retired. But what does that have to do with anything right now? Orton says he landed bad on his knee and screwed it up last night, and he heard it pop. He didn't know how bad it was until he got the MRI result this morning. Says he's going to be out of the ring for a very long time, and there's a good chance he won't be able to come back. Fans aren't happy with this news. Orton seems like he might be working here. Fans chant no. Now Orton says no matter what happens, he's going to make sure somebody takes the RKO at WrestleMania. Out comes AJ Styles, and I knew immediately he's faking it. It's like, are you kidding me? This is definitely a fake. This is all storyline. Comes alone on stage, calling him time for a timeout. Fans boo, and he doesn't like the idea of not getting to fight Orton again in the ring until WrestleMania. AJ is in the ring now, staring Orton down. Fans chant for the RKO. AJ taunts Orton, goes on and offers to put his hand behind his back and close his eyes. Orton won't take a shot. AJ says Orton must really be hurt and says he can't be patient. We'll see Orton at WrestleMania 36, and that's where he will retire him with the calf crusher. AJ goes to lead, but he kicks one of Orton's crutches out first, where Orton manages to lean on the rope for support and stay up, but winces in pain. Fans chant AJ sucks. Orton stops, and AJ says the big difference between them is that AJ is patient and Orton is not. Orton suddenly drops AJ with a huge RKO, and he is not hurt. He suckered AJ in. Fans pop as Orton hits the corner and poses. While the music hits, Orton does a signature pose in the opposite corner, and AJ tries to recover on the mat. So you did this whole injury angle on Sunday just to have Orton hit an RKO on Monday. I guess you can say at least they did some kind of long-term booking, but really? Really? Give me a break, man. There's got to be better ways to do this. We see footage of Andrade winning the United States title from Rey Mysterio at Thursday's live event in Madison Square Garden. Rey will get his rematch next week in OKC. Backstage footage of Rey of MJSV says he continues counting on getting his rematch with Andrade, but he's not done with Seth Rollins and AOP. He promises that when this is all over, he'll be standing tall. Booyaka 619. Obviously, he's going to be entwined with AOP and Seth Rollins, as I said earlier. Just kind of obvious. Andrade versus some enhancement talent. We go to the ring, and out comes new United States champion Andrade with Zelina Vega for this non-title match. It's Andrade versus an enhancement talent. What'd you expect? Andrade talks the apron back to the commercial. Ricochet, and hold on. Andrade goes to the ringside as opposed to concrete. He's going to try and kill this jobber. Ricochet comes out, makes a save, takes the mic and says it's not going down like this tonight. Ricochet says Andrade did this to Carrillo and Rey Mysterio, but if Andrade wants to fight Ricochet now, and drops the mic and waits in the ring for a fight as Andrade and Vega talk in the apron back in commercial. And of course we would get that match. But who won? Who won? Of course Andrade did. But did he do it on his own? Absolutely not. He can't win a match on his own unless it's a jobber. He helps it. Zelina gets involved, shoving Ricochet off the top of the rope. He lands hard. Andrade handles him a large DDT. And Vega screams at ringside as Andrade gets the pin. The last time Andrade was a champion, it was NXT, right? And he won 95% of his matches as NXT champion by himself. Zelina Vega is the insurance policy, but she doesn't need to be used all the time. I mean, yes, it's Ricochet, and he's somebody that you should have him, like him being like dealing with and having some kind of help. But it's like, come on, Andrade's like just a champion, just a guy who, oh, it's so stupid. Andrade and Vega are backstage with Sarah Shriba. Vega is all smiles after the win, and they are both confident about this United States title reign, and they aren't worried about Rey Mysterio taking the title back when he gets his rematch next week. And then that's how the regular show ended, and everything after this is the wedding. Yes, I already went through everything else that happened on this show, and we had 20 plus minutes of a wedding. The wedding officiant minister introduces the groom, the almighty Bobby Lashley. You see a bunch of empty seats on the stage, apparently for guests who do not want to come. Vic says Lana and Lashley have no friends and no one wanted to accept the invitations. Lashley is wearing a tuxedo with sleeves cut off because of course he is, and no shirt underneath. The officiant introduces Lana next to it, and out she comes in her wedding dress, flowers in hand. Vic says they will officially tie the knot in the wedding of the decade next. The wedding of the decade. Give me a break. After from breaking, the officiant begins his speech, but the fans start booing. He says he speaks for everyone when he says they hope Lana and Lashley have love. A love that makes them better versions of themselves, and goes on to mention kids for a happy couple. But Lana interrupts and says she didn't put that in the script. She doesn't want a little monster coming out of her, giving her stretch marks and everything else, making her look like these Lana wannabes. She tells the man to read the script she gave him. He asks Lashley if he's sure he wants to continue. Fans chant Rusev Day as the officiant continues. Lana yells, and this isn't about Rusev Day. This is dragging. This is horrible. Lana is terrible. She's ready to get the vows because the crowd won't stop chanting for Rusev. Lana says this is the lucky day of Lashley's life because he's marrying the greatest WWE superstar in history. Give me a break. Sorry, trying not to throw up there, but that's just disgusting. He goes on and on about how says Lashley's whole life has led to this. This is what he's worked hard for. This is what his manhood is for. He just wants to jump onto top of him and make love to him right now. They kiss. The officiant thanks Lashley for his restraint, which is but you laugh at that. You go ha, and you move on. The officiant says Lashley can begin when he wants, but Lana won't shut up. Lana says she spent a whole lot of time on the vows that what Lashley is about to read her. Fans give the what chant treatment to Lashley, but Lana isn't happy. She's keep spelling her name out. I've never wanted to turn a WWE show off so bad as I do right now. Are you kidding me? That's just how I feel. This is terrible. There is no way Vince McMahon went into this episode of Monday Night Raw, had this script done and said, this is good television. There's no way. These rings are the symbol of love they express. Lashley receives some rings from the officiant as the Rusev Day chants pick up. Lashley repeats after the officiant, and Lana interrupts to hurry them up. The officiant gives the other ring to Lana now, but she interrupts him before he can ask her to repeat after her. After him, Lana says Bobby has always given him everything because it's all about her. The officiant says this is the part he dreads. The officiant asks if there anyone who believes these two should not get married. Speak now or forever hold your peace. Some bum walks out wearing a suit and said he objects. This wedding is a sham and should not continue. This guy says he is Lana's first husband. He says he and Lana got married the day she turned 18 and she left him for the son of a bitch Rusev. Lana tells the guy to get out of here, but he's still in love with her. The guy calls Lashley a son of a bitch and says Lana will do the same thing to him when something bigger or better comes along because that's what she does. Lashley grabs this guy and just destroys him in the middle of the ring, driving him hard into the mat. The guy rolls out of the ring. The officiant asks if anyone else wants to speak, and the man goes to pronounce the man and wife, but out comes a woman who is objecting. Lashley looks worried. The woman tries to chant no as she hits their apron. She says she's Bobby's first wife. They met while Lashley was in the military, and it was so beautiful. Lana slaps the woman off the apron and yells at the officiant and tells him to continue. The officiant asks one more time if anyone wants to speak up, and out comes Liv Morgan for her big return. By the way, I did my awards a couple weeks ago, this past Wednesday, yes, on Sunday, and I put in worst debuts of the year, and I put in there Liv Morgan's makeover. This is up there for sure. The objection says this can't go on. The love of her life is standing right there. That she would not have made it through this year if it weren't for their love. She came to WWE a lost soul, a wild teen who came to WWE, and goes on to say she never knew she could not be herself until they met and fell in love with each other. Liv asked, "How could you do this to me? How? How?" Lashley and Lana look on. Lashley says she's never touched this woman in his entire life. He's not sure what she's talking about. Liv says no, she's not talking about Bobby. She lives in the ring. She's talking about Lana. Yes. Straight as can be, Liv Morgan comes back as a lesbian. It's kind of funny because on SmackDown, you have a legit lesbian on your payroll. You have somebody who is an actual LGBTQ supporter, somebody who has a girlfriend off camera, and you go with Liv Morgan. Isn't Liv Morgan like dating or married to somebody? Let me look this up. This has to be some of the worst booking I've ever seen. She gets in the ring, she talks to Lana, and she's like, says, "How could you do this? You don't love him, you love me." She drops the mic, they slap. Like, the fans were into this. You had the fans into this. And then the slap, the brawl, fans are done. Fans don't care. Everything after this, the fans don't care. Even Rusev, until Rusev comes in, but not as much as you thought. He beats the hell out of him, out of Bobby Lashley. They actually gave this an overrun. Liv runs back in and takes down Lana, and she's just trying to get her into the cake, and Lana's fighting this, even though it's cake. Rusev puts Lashley down. Rusev and Liv stand tall as the final Raw of 2019 go off the air. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, that is how Monday Night Raw goes off the air. That is the final Raw of the decade. The first Raw of 2010 saw the return of Bret the Hitman Hart. That was the first, that was 1-4, right? 1-4, 2010, right? So you started this decade off so strong. You had so much going for this show, beginning of this decade. And here we are, December 30th yesterday, December 31st, 2019. We're about to start a new decade, and this is the worst creative I have ever seen in this company. You went from Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, shaking hands, to all the way up to now, and having Rusev, Lana, and Lashley end the decade with Jake all over Lana, Liv Morgan supposedly a lesbian now, and just people holding their heads, holding their hands in their head in their hands, just like, oh my god, this sucks. This would have been one of those things that when you see, as I've said before, when you hear, if you have friends who just show up randomly and they knock on that door, and you're watching Monday Night Raw. As soon as you hear that door knock, you're turning off TV. You're switching the channel because you don't want to see. You don't want to let them know that you're watching this garbage. This was an absolute train wreck. The worst Monday Night Raw of the year. The worst segment of the decade. And we've had Lashley's sisters. We had This Is Your Life Bailey. We had the Matska baby thing even in a couple weeks ago. This has been awful. Until Vince McMahon is gone, this is not going to get any better. You cannot tell me this guy goes into this show. You cannot tell me this guy goes in these shows and thinks this is actual good television. This was terrible. If you missed this episode of Monday Night Raw, it didn't miss anything. You actually spared yourself brain cells for not having to watch this garbage. This was trash. Never, ever again do I want to see Vince McMahon run this show. The whole Paul Heyman thing, yes, there might be little fingerprints here and there, but this was Vince McMahon all the way. This was trash. There's nothing else I can say. That is your Monday Night Raw, final Monday Night Raw of the year.